Cooley, and I am the Ag Extension Agent in Yellowstone County. Today I am going to show you guys how to perform the nitrate quick test. We have two different methods that we can use as extension agents, the strip test and the quick test, but this demonstration is specifically for the quick test. So, what is the quick test? The first thing that you might see as a new agent or something like that when you come into your office is a kit like this. And if you don't have one of these, there is a way to obtain it. In order to perform the nitrate quick test, you need to get into touch with Sharon Henderson to get this kit, who is with the Department of Animal and Range Sciences at Montana State, or talk to the Forage Extension Specialist. So a little bit about this kit. I'll show you what is in it. Once you receive it, you will have this test tray. There will be scissors, gloves, some goggles, and also our sulfuric acid solution. There will be a dropper, and then also this blade that we can use to cut open our forage. So before you get this test, you will be asked to take a quick little quiz in order to be certified to perform this. This sulfuric acid cannot be mailed, and so if you don't have some of this already in your office, you will need to pick it up in Bozeman. Okay, so that's what you can expect to find in your kit. So why do we care about nitrates? In Montana, they're very, very prevalent. We see nitrates, an increase in nitrates in our forages when there are stressful conditions in your field. So whether that be drought or hail or high fertilizer use or unseasonably cool temperatures or anything like that that can cause stress to the plant can potentially increase our nitrates in that forage. So, as extension agents, we do a lot of nitrate testing over the course of the growing season and then even beyond then. So let's talk about how to do that. We know that nitrate accumulates into the lower portion of the plant primarily. So when you're asking producers to bring in a sample, I always tell them to cut it off in the field, like where it would be harvested, like with a swather, or where it would be grazed, so how far down. At that point, we want to then test these lower nodes. Now, if you're given a sample that is a cord bale or something like that, you're obviously not going to know which of those nodes was the lowest to the ground, but in that case, you'll probably just want to sample several of those nodes. So this is a sample that a producer gave me. It's actually a cover crop combination. We've got some turnips and sorghum and millet. And so I'm going to demonstrate on this millet how to perform the quick test. All right, so we have a stem right here. And I'll go ahead and get out some of my tools here in the kit. You do need to be very careful when you're working with the sulfuric acid solution because it can and will burn you, your hands, it'll burn your clothes, anything like that. So get this stuff out. When you're doing it, you want to wear your goggles as well as your gloves. So go ahead and put those on. Okay. So, as you can see here, these are the nodes of the plant. There's one right there. There's one right there. One right there. You get the picture. So what we're going to do is I'm going to cut off a piece of this millet so that we have our node right there. Now, at this point, you can use your razor blade to cut down the center and open up that node so that we can test it. So you're kind of like this. Sometimes with these nice big meaty nodes like that, you can also use your scissors to just cut them open, whichever works. Okay, and I have some here that I cut earlier as well. When you're doing this, you obviously just want to get a good representation of the sample. So test several stems from that sample that you're given. Since we're on that subject, and we were talking about when a producer wants to come in and bring you a sample, not only do you want to tell him or ask him or her to bring in a sample kind of at the height of where it would be harvested or consumed or grazed or anything like that. But you also want to discuss the method of sampling. So with that, you may want to tell him to take several samples from across the field, so different areas. And especially if you see any areas in that field that are lower lying areas, or they're shaded, or they're just a little bit different, maybe it's a different soil type, anything that's out of the norm of the majority of that field is always a good place to make sure that you're getting a sample, as well as just a great representation of that entire field. Okay. So now we have our nodes all laid out, and we'll go ahead and test them. So the nitrate quick test method only detects a presence of nitrate. So we don't know how much nitrate there is or is not. It just simply tells us if there is nitrate or if there's not. So with that, what we're looking for when we drop the solution on our nodes is a blue color, and I don't have a picture for you, but it's fairly blue. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look. I haven't tested any of these, so I'm not sure what we're gonna find, but we'll just go ahead and see. So I'm going to drop 1 or 2 drops right on the node of that and see what we get. I'm not seeing any blue color on that one. We'll go ahead and test the others just to see. So I think you get the picture with that. So on these, I did not see any of that blue color that we're looking for. But one thing that I did want to point out is this node right here. As you can see, it's kind of dark. You know, I think that one of the first times I ever did a quick test, I got something like this, and I was like, well, it's dark. It doesn't really look blue, but you know, it looks like something. So this is an example of a part of this plant that has high carbohydrates. It's very starchy, and so that's why we're getting that brownish black color. It's something that you'll probably see very often, so I wanted to make sure to point that out. Okay, so on this demonstration that we just did, we didn't see any of that blue color, but let's think about if we did. Okay, so what kind of recommendations, what would be our next steps? So when we are discussing this with our producers, it's a good idea to talk in terms of the level of risk. So in this situation here, you never really want to say, well, nope, I didn't see any blue, so you're good to go 100%. Maybe we would term it more like, by looking at these nodes, we did not detect any of that blue color that indicates the presence of nitrate, so we're going to say that there is a low risk for a nitrate issue. Now, that doesn't mean to say that there's not. We know that if you have high nitrate water or other areas of the field that you didn't test, that didn't show that representation, there could potentially be nitrate issues. So we want to present these to the producer in terms of your amount of risk. With that then, like I said, if we had a blue color here, indicating that there was, what would we do then? Okay, so the producer, he or she probably brought it in here and they want to cut, okay, and so they're ready to do that. There are a few other options that he or she can do, and that could be to raise your header so that you're not getting that the lowest part where that nitrate accumulates the most. They could wait a little while and bring in another sample. You could most definitely take a sample into a lab to test for that actual nitrate level so that you get that lab analysis done. And you could also just discuss a lot of those risks, with what you're dealing with. One rule of thumb that we always consider is that typically nitrates are higher in the morning after that plant hasn't been photosynthesizing overnight versus the afternoon. And so a good rule of thumb is to always tell that producer to cut in the afternoon. Along those lines, it's also good to have the producer bring in the sample. If they can, take that sample at the time that they're going to cut so that you're getting a good, accurate representation of that. So that's just a little bit on how to perform the quick test. Once again, I want to stress that this just simply detects the presence or not of nitrate. So it's not telling us the amount, it's just simply showing us if we do or do not have it. There are a couple mock guides that we all have access to that I wanted to point out. One is Nitrate Toxicity of Montana Forages, and this is a great mock guide to learn from, good for extension agents, good to give your producers as well. It talks a lot about just what nitrate is in general, what it does to livestock, and then also kind of what those threshold levels are if we actually have an analysis done. So that's a good one to use. The other nitrate mock guide, related mock guide we have is the Forage Nitrate Analysis, what method to use. And so this discussed the quick test that I just demonstrated, and it also talks about the strip test method that provides a little bit more of a quantitative analysis for you versus just the color. So those are very great resources that you can use. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to a fellow extension agent or your forage extension specialist or anything like that. Thank you.